opinions expressed by the participants in this program are those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Gray Media Inc., KTVF, my mother, or the Commissioner of Baseball.
This is a
That's right. Here we are. Mr. Lewis, what amazing threads you have today. Well, it just so happens that this is the very ensemble that I used to always wear on the last news broadcast before breaking for Christmas. And so since this is my last time to be with you in this format before breaking for Christmas, why not knock the dust off and drag it back out? So welcome to show number 8. Isn't that great? And we are available on the website, webcenterfairbanks.com, and our apps in various places. By the way, I discovered that the one for the Apple TV and the Roku, that you hook up to your television set, we're on there too. If you get the Web Center or Alaska's News Source Fairbanks app on one of those, you can see us there on television. Like the folks said, on the big screen last week, they wrote. And so that's where we are. And email, jrlewis@ktvf11.com. Any ideas for the show, anything you want me to address on the show, or just interact with you not on the show, send an email. We're happy to have it. This week, we have Sarah Hollister from the United Way. Unlike last week, where if you looked at the little thing down here at the bottom, it said the untied way of the United Valley to Tanana, because I'm just so smart. So anyway, United Way of the Tanana Valley coming up this week. And next week, by the way, another very helpful organization. We're going to visit with Julie Swisher, another former television broadcaster. She now represents the Red Cross. And incidentally, the conversation that I had with Julie was before the whole thing with the typhoons, so you won't hear about that there, but I'll see if she's got any follow-up information we can talk about afterwards. So we continue to have a solid agenda. We're going to move on to the news here now, and Alex Bengal reported the story that, kind of just in case you missed it or saw it on the TV news, but forgot that maybe there was a longer version on the internet, which there almost always is through our website. The story that he covered recently here was that the city of Fairbanks had just passed its 2026 budget in a 5-1 vote. The decision adds a few positions and leaves a surplus of around $840,000. You don't hear that word too often anymore. The council voted to add a second community paramedic position and gave the Public Works Department 2 new laborers. Those positions will be funded out of the department's overtime budget for temporary workers. The only nay vote belonged to a council member, Jerry Cleworth, who argued the surplus is not enough to absorb unexpected costs, and that was a position that drew a response from City Mayor Mindy O'Neill.
Our population is not growing, and if we keep growing the government, we're going to get into ourselves where we have a high fixed cost every year.
We are in a revenue deficit, and that's not because we're too big or we're using excess funds. It's because we are providing an excellent service to the community that continues to grow.
The budget goes into effect on January 1st, and the official document is expected to be publicly available on January 15th. Big thanks again, Alex Bengal, for covering that, and you can see the full story on the website if you so choose. Moving on to the calendar. Why don't we begin here with an ongoing event through January 12th, the Candy Cane Hunt presented by Parks and Rec. It says between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., visit their facilities and look for the different colored candy canes. You can pick up a packet from their office or download one. And you know what? Let's put this up full screen so you can see them better. So there you see the cover of their packet, Candy Cane Hunt. Visit their facilities, look for candy canes through January 12th. More information at fnsb.gov/parks. The directions: you visit each location, no particular order, look for different colored candy canes, write which color candy canes were found at each location on the answer sheet, Find all 5 and return the answer sheet to the Parks and Rec office for a candy cane prize. If you should find the bonus candy cane, and then you'll be entered to win a 10-punch pass. So where do you go? Any of the pools, Hammy, Westcott, or Marysaya, the library, which could be the Nolween or North Pole branch, the Big Dipper Ice Arena, the Parks and Rec office. There is a bonus in the packet as well. And they also note you don't have to go to all the pools because all the pools have the same color of candy cane. And then you can see here the form that they include, so you can do your name and your age and the color of the candy canes found at the various locations. But if you want to learn more about that bonus and see any of the clues, then you need to visit fnsb.gov/parks and search candy cane. If you have any navigation issues, you can also call them at 459-1000. And then on the other page, we see the Ballroom Dance Club of Fairbanks presenting their Borealis Ball. And this is an item like the candy cane hunt that came directly from our calendar on the website, if you want to see these things. It'll be in the Westmark Gold Room on Noble Street, of course. Because in the frozen north, we all need a reason to dress up and dance. So join the Ballroom Dance Club of Fairbanks for the Borealis Ball, a formal event featuring hors d'oeuvres, no host bar, dancing, and more dancing from 8 p.m. to midnight, Saturday, January 24th. Little ways off, but you can mark your calendar. And again, that's at the Gold Room in the Westmark. As far as ticket prices, $50 for single if you are a member, $80 for a couple. Non-members, it's $60 for a single and $100 for a couple. You can get your tickets at fairbanksballroom.dance, which I tested that site because I didn't know .dance was an actual available dot, and it works. And for more information, you can contact info@fairbanksballroom.dance. Plus, of course, you can always again, go to the website and look at our calendar, our community calendar, and see these things. So moving on now to our guest. Sarah Hollister is the executive director of the United Way of the Tanana Valley, which works to improve the lives of every person, mobilizing the caring power of our community. We're going to get to meet her. We're going to learn all about what the United Way is doing, sort of in general, and things that are happening immediately, if not sooner. So enjoy the program. Sarah Hollister with us on Show 8 of Interior Insights. Gosh, we just got back from Rotary. We look good, don't we? Look at that in the mug.
And you're wearing your pin. I always
Ooh,
forget my pin.
that's all right. You know, this is the thing we were talking before we got started about how, on radio, we just show up and it doesn't make any difference.
The day
Yeah.
we came, I was like, oh, it's filmed.
Yeah.
Well, I looked decent that day, so I was like, okay, good. I had makeup on that day. That was about as far as it got.
Thank goodness. Well,
Yeah.
it's not like you're a stranger to this format,
No.
of course. So, and by the way, I love the Alaska earrings.
Thank you.
That's
Are
good.
we recording?
Yeah, of course we're recording. We've been recording. And I want to know, in the way of introduction, in case there's like 6 people that have never met you,
Yeah.
tell us about your background growing up in the interior. What's your history here?
Yes. So I have a lifelong history with the interior. Born and raised local. My mom still lives in Salcha, so I was raised on a homestead in Salcha.
Really?
On 8 acres, on a log cabin, all the things. She had her own garden. My parents hunted and fished all summer, and so we canned our own food. Very Alaskan lifestyle. When you look up people, and they were from the lower 48, so they're both from Pennsylvania. And if you look up how, people who move here, what they want, my parents definitely got that. They got a cabin in the woods. And so I was raised there. I attended the Eielson elementary schools because we were so close to Salcha. And then my parents are both teachers by profession. And so I attended the Eielson schools. In middle school, I switched to North Pole. That was just to, that was actually a really good thing for me. As somebody who went to school on Eielson, I remember my friends just constantly moving away. And I think there was a lot of reasons my parents switched, but I think that was a big part of it. And I'm actually really grateful they did, because then I did my middle school and my high school career in North Pole, and I still have so many of those friends today.
Yeah.
And I still love North Pole. You know, Santa this time of year always has a place in my heart.
Yeah.
Just from being from North Pole. I do live in Fairbanks now, but still, you know, North Pole was my home for so many years.
Now, you lived outside for a little while, didn't you?
Yep. And then I ended up going to college in New York. I actually studied fashion design for a while before I switched to communications. So I studied fashion and worked in the fashion industry for a while in New York. And then pretty quickly I moved to New York thinking it was going to be warmer. And I think a lot of people have that mistake where they move to the lower 48 and they're like, it's going to be warmer. But then you move somewhere it's windy and wet, and that's a different kind of cold than Fairbanks.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you can't wear your deep Arctic cold, you know, giant parka and everything, or everybody's like, whoa, what a weirdo.
Well, and like it cuts through it.
Yeah, that's just
Wet
it.
wind cuts through your biggest parkas and your neck and everything. And so, you know, I spent, I think, 2.5 years, 3 years in New York City, and it was an amazing experience. And then I went for warmer temperatures in LA, and I worked in LA quite a while before I just got homesick.
Yeah.
You know, I love the city life. I love the weather. I love the beach. But I missed my family. I missed my friends, and I missed the community.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever really left Alaska. I might have lived other places, but it was always when someone would be like, oh, home, it was always where I was wanting to think about when am I visiting next? What are my friends from home doing?
Yeah.
And I think that happens to a lot of people where, especially if you're born and raised here, you think, I got to get out of this place. We've been at this little fishbowl our whole lives.
Yeah.
But it really makes you, you know, unacceptable to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
You try and you enjoy it for what it is, but there's something about this place that was always home and always drew back. And when I had come back, you know, gosh, what is it? Over 10 years now. I knew it was the right choice, even with the winters, you know, and you figure out the winters here. You just figure them out. You get a hobby, you do, you know, you get some downtime.
The people, of course, you see the people you get to interact with, all of that.
You know, and I knew people at KTVF and got to, you know, kind of got rolled right into an amazing career opportunity that I didn't have that opportunity anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
another one of the great things about living here.
Yeah.
Now, did you know when you came back that you were going to try to get into journalism, broadcasting?
No, I knew it was an interest. I had been in communications. I had been in a lot of social media stuff and a lot of communicating via social media, but not necessarily on the journalism side. But when I came back and I saw a job opening and I had a couple friends who worked for the organization, I was like, maybe this could be a thing.
Because you started here in social media, right? That was your primary deal.
So I did social media stories here and social media features and ran a lot of the social media stuff. And I mean, right away, we were like, I think once I got the hang of it, it was like, okay, let's do some stories. And, you know, immediately became interested. I did a lot of courts and crimes at first, trying to getting my wheels turning. I studied some communications at UAF, so took some journalism classes, and just quickly became really in love with reporting those hard-hitting stories.
Now, were you on the desk before you started reporting?
No, so I did the social media. And then I did reporting, and I think that's right when Stephanie Woodard was kind of retiring. And, you know, I said, hey, I want to do it. I want to do it. Raise my hand.
All right.
And it was, and, you know, I've always been a public speaker.
Sure.
So it was a lot of fun.
Okay. And then, so you did that for a little while. How did you go from being a news anchor and, by the way, an award-winning reporter?
Yes.
Goldies on the wall.
Multiple awards.
That's like our version of the Emmys for anybody who doesn't know.
7 awards?
That's right.
Who's counting?
So then you end up at the United Way. How does that happen?
You know, there is a strong connection between KTVF and United Way. There's always been. We've all, when I was at KTVF, I was able to support them, work, their toy drive, their coat drive, all the school drives, supporting them that way. At one point, I had even considered becoming a chair for them. I didn't end up doing it that year, but it's somewhere that's always been near and dear to my heart. I did a lot of stories on nonprofits, and I had some leadership experience. And so I actually started at United Way as an assistant, and but just quickly moved up into the ranks, and have been there since.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to the United Way, you've continued to broadcast because you have a radio show that is weekly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So part of what I do there is we do a weekly radio show called Behind the Mission with the United Way of the Tanana Valley. And each week we get with our local nonprofits. Now, there's over 600 local nonprofits in the interior.
My.
And that's a lot. That's a lot, especially for our small town.
Sure.
And a big part of that, in case anyone's listening that doesn't know, is Alaska is very different than other states. Other states, you may have counties or government agencies that run a lot of the state programs. So one of our programs at United Way is the Fairbanks Wellness Coalition, which deals with suicide and drug misuse.
Yeah.
Now, in another state, that may be under a county. That may be like the wellness program under the county. But Alaska doesn't like to have all those government fingers on things.
Yeah.
And so what Alaska does is they grant out these monies to nonprofits. So they'll grant out money to our local nonprofits to run the social service side of a lot of government, what would be a government agency. And so what that does is it streams a lot of money into our nonprofits. A lot of our nonprofits are dealing with grants and state grants to run certain programs. But it also means that these nonprofits need support. And so that's a big part of what United Way does is we come in and we try to support them. And one of the ways we do that is through the radio show. And we're able to give them a platform. Anybody listening, it's on KFAR 1130 on Saturdays. You can go to kfar.com and see any of our, I think we have like 60 shows by now, where we're interviewing different nonprofits, and giving them a platform to speak for 30 minutes to an audience that might not have heard of them before, but is interested. And so it's my nod to journalism for sure, and a way that we found that nonprofits really value this, like similar to what you're doing here.
Yeah.
They just value getting a platform and getting their message out and being heard, because if you don't know that something exists, if you don't know that there is a whole coalition working, on drug misuse and suicide prevention, if you don't know about that, how are you going to get the help or go to the events or anything like that? So having a great platform that's local is awesome.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Chris Capps about this the other day. We were both out when the Giving Machine was happening at Santa Claus House, and I'm sure there's a lower 48-ish kind of feeling like, you shouldn't be talking about your thing on my show or mine on yours, or
Not us here.
Chris sitting in on my interview with the people with the Giving Machine. And it's like, you guys don't understand how community works if that's how you're thinking that way. And she said it great when I was exchanging emails with her. She said there are a lot of stories, and that we need to get them told in as many different places as possible. So the more of us that are doing that, the better it is for the community.
Absolutely. And part of my feelings, news is going away across the country. I mean, we know this. Look at our own community. And what that does to communities is it changes them. If you look at communities that have very little news or no news sources, they become what's called like nationalized.
Yeah.
So whatever national news is going on, the community without local news becomes that. Yeah. And that's not us. Like, can I say that again? That is not us. That is not Fairbanks. And so what local news does, any kind of local news, whether it's your show, whether it's, our newscast on Alaska News Source or whatever, our newspaper, it provides people with a perspective that's local. And that's what we need to treasure and keep holding dear to our hearts, because if we lose that, we're going to lose so much more than just, a weekly story or a daily paper. So much more than that.
There's a sense of community. And there is a lot there. You're exactly right. There's been a lot of erosion of that, where people are losing their sense of their people that they spend time with, that they live next to, that they go to worship with, if that's what they do, or whatever. And all of the national conflict gets grafted on to the communities, to the point that the people don't even realize. I was talking to John with the Salvation Army about this. You hear some big national story about, well, the Salvation Army did that, or they did this, or this is what they think, or this is who they hate, or this is where they need to hate more, and all of that sort of stuff. And people see that, and if all they get is the big national perspective, they think, oh, well, that must be exactly how our local one operates. And, of course, that couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely.
In many cases. And with social media and with the reduction in local journalism, boy, we should do a whole show about that sometime.
I know. You can get me on my soapbox on that anytime.
So let's, as far as United Way.
Let's circle back. United Way.
What is the mission, if you were going to give me the elevator pitch of what the United Way's mission is? What's your function?
So what we do is we essentially encourage the community to get involved, to donate, whatever that means to them. So give, advocate, volunteer is kind of our three pillars. To give you kind of a overview, a huge part of our give, so if you give to United Way, what we do with that money is we split it up among our 15 partner agencies. And so all of these, we call them partner agencies, but really they're 15 local nonprofits that have applied and gone through it's called an allocation process with a little committee, saying they need funds. So they need funds, unrestricted funds, they're called. And so remember when I was talking about all those grants?
Yeah.
Those are restricted, which means that you make a budget, 15 months before you may spend that money. And it's all very restricted. It's hard to change once you have money, just because we manage a grant. I know how it is. It's hard to change one bucket to the other and to change where that money goes. So there's not a lot of wiggle room if there is a need. And so by providing, even if it's, even if they get a $300,000 grant and we're able to give them $10,000 or $20,000 on top of that, it gives them that little wiggle room. Oh, our printer broke. Something happened and we need this emergency fund. A fun story about that is, one of our partner agencies said to me, because I always like to know, what do you use the money for? And, some people are toilet paper, pay our employees, this kind of thing. One organization, it was one year we had a childcare facility on, and they would use the money to help their employees during emergencies. So if somebody had a vehicle emergency and they had trouble getting to work, not all the positions that a lot of nonprofits offer are high paying. They're mission work, they're heart work, and people will do them, and it's beautiful and magical. But what happens if that person's car breaks down, or they have a medical emergency and they, it's $10,000 for whatever, a medical emergency, or whatever it is, where they may be stuck between, can I stay working at this job, or do I need to quit to get a better paying job so that I can fix? And so what this organization did is, if, say, somebody's car broke down, they were able to help fix them from our funds. And they were able to do things for their employees. Well, they couldn't pay them the highest amount in the world. They were able to do things for them that made them feel loved, made it feel worth it, reminded them of the hard mission work that they do. And so that, to me, was one of the most special things that is given, we were able to provide, because grants will never allow that.
Sure.
Grants are sometimes, they don't even let you provide food for volunteers at times. And so, having that, just that extra wiggle room of money helped.
So is the bulk of it sort of stopgap funding for things like that, or are you the primary funding source for any of these organizations?
Most of them, we are not the primary funding source. Not all of our nonprofits are grant funded, but a lot of them are. A lot of nonprofits have some kind of source, or they have, income, like Children's Museum can get some smaller grants, but then they have an income, but then it's always nice for these extra projects, extra things for the kids. And so that's give.
Yeah.
We got advocate, that's part of our radio show. We also provide a time for nonprofits to get together, so that we get everybody in a room once a month and have them resource share what they're doing, really build connection between our nonprofits, because nobody's in competition with each other. Now, we don't want to duplicate resources. So if you...
I was just going to say, that's a good way to avoid that. You know, if resources are limited, having multiple agencies trying for the same funding or to achieve the same goal, when maybe they can say, oh, okay, they're handling that, I'm going to focus more on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And generally, if a need, so say you're an organization that, someone comes to for needs, so whether it's food or clothing or what you need, that person isn't in a silo. Probably they're going to need help with this, and they're going to need help on other things too. And so by having this really strong connection and these nonprofits working together, you can help resource connect. So if someone comes to, someone has a house fire and they go to the Red Cross, I know John at Salvation Army, he can get you some clothes, he can get you some new housing goods. I've got for, maybe they're going through a mental health thing because of everything that's happening. Okay, now I can connect you with National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI Fairbanks, NAMI Alaska. You have this kind of access and know what each one provides because you're meeting once a month.
Sure.
And so
you guys are kind of a clearinghouse for that, and a central point of contact.
Yeah, and so that's part of our mission, is to get nonprofits together and to provide these networking opportunities.
So what are some of the key, say, community issues that United Way is focusing on as the year ends here and we're going into a new year?
Like key issues?
Anything, just particular areas, or is it largely focusing on your agencies and it just kind of stays like that? They have the different issues and things that they're working on, and you just receive information from them.
Yeah, we receive a lot of information from them. We do a little advocating if there's a subject that is a big deal. We did a little advocating on the state paying out grants on time. There was a bill that we advocated on behalf of our nonprofits and United Way about making sure the state pays their vendors on time, but a nonprofit is when they feel like it at times, when they get to it, which can be rough. So if you're expecting funding July 1st, we've waited up until October after first quarter to receive. And so everybody makes it work. That's what we do. But being able to receive those fundings on time was a big push for us. That's the most I have on the advocacy front right now. Yeah. We also, another pillar that we do is we volunteer match. And so what we just did with Alyeska, it was in the newspaper, but we volunteered. They matched when they had a workforce, like 20 employees that wanted to do a service project. We were able to match them up with MLH Manor, which is a senior living facility under the senior center. And they were able to paint some apartments, paint an apartment in there and really help out with that. And, part of that and part of what we push is getting workforce involved in our nonprofits, volunteering, and it also builds community within your workforce. So it's really a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, not only the people that you serve, but I imagine doing that work together. Mm-hmm. If you're all employees of the same business, you all work together on a project like that, you get outside the office and are a team in a different way, you come away with that with a lot more than you probably expected.
Yeah.
In terms of that cohesion then you take back to the office, and everybody benefits from that better relationship.
Yeah, there are so many benefits to having philanthropy in the workplace, whether it's like we do a lot of workplace campaigns where we work with organizations that might donor match their employees, volunteering. Those kind of things really add to the longevity of your employees. And so there's a lot of research out about how if you bring philanthropy into your workplace, especially if you're the leader of that workplace and you're philanthropic, how much longer it makes your employees stay. And I think we can all use that right now. Everybody's short-staffed.
Yeah. So are there any, tell me again, have you been at United Way for about a year? A little more than
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay.
I was
well,
like, JR.
I can't count. I don't know.
No.
I can't even, I'll forget your name by the time I'm done with it. Pudding.
It's been about 4 since I was here.
Yeah.
But who's counting?
Well, but maybe you were doing other stuff. I don't know. But so what in that time then, is there anything that stands out as like a big success or a really impactful story to you?
Just a lot of the agencies we touch, I told the story about our unrestricted funds, and it's a lot of that where things that they wouldn't be able to do grant wise, that we're helping them push, to that next level or to help more people. Always the coat drive is very, very moving for me. Coat drive and the toy drive are really special things when we're community partner with KTVF, the coat drive. And so we receive all the coats, just seeing the massive amount of donations, and then having the agencies come and pick them up. So like one of the agencies we work with is Presbyterian Hospitality House. Yeah. And it's always been really special when they're able to come, because a lot of those kids are down and out and are going through something really hard. And to be able to, a lot of times we get new coats. And so I'll pull those new coats aside just for those kids to make them feel special. We were able to help with some of the families from Western Alaska. We were able to give them a large amount of coats and get them everything they needed. And so it's stories like that. We also open it up to the public. And so I'll get to meet a lot of people as they're coming in if they need coats, and being able to help them with whatever they need. Same with another thing we do is if you call in, we can resource match. So recently I got a call from a lady who hadn't left her house for 3 years.
Wow.
And she was ready. She was ready to do something, but she just didn't know where to start. And sometimes it's just, people call and I don't know what to expect, but I've got my finger on so many nonprofits that I can probably figure it out. I'm probably a very good source for that. And we just, she just needed someone to hear her and, hear from someone else that, hey, I think you need to call your doctor and, take care of what you need to take care of so you can get your life back, and just being able to help her, and then navigate, where can she get a food box? Where can she get some other things that she needed? And it wasn't even about maybe the food or it was about just like her feeling heard and listened to. And she was able to call me back the next day and tell me that, she had left the house. She had seen her doctor. She was on schedule to get a food box. And it wasn't anything even I did. It was just being there as someone who can help her navigate resource. When, a lot of people, when they're at that level, they may be financially broke, but they're also friendship broke, and they're also relationship broke is what we call it. They've gone through their relationships, whatever it is they're going through, they may not have those anymore because, people can get burnt out from someone and then they find themselves without anyone. Yeah. And that's when it's so important for people to just listen to people and try to be empathetic where they're at, because everybody's at a different place going through different things, and then help navigate to how they can get help. Yeah.
So those individual, the personal experiences.
Yes.
That's not something that everybody necessarily is going to have the personality for or the time for or something like that. So having an organization that is focused on that, is I would think going to bring a certain amount of comfort to a community. Now, if somebody is engaging with us here and is thinking, yes, we need that. I want to support that. I can't do that myself, but I can support somebody else who does. What can individuals, members of the business community, how can they help you continue to do this?
You can go to UnitedWayTananavalley.com. Whether you want to give money or you want to give time, we have both forms there. Where you can either sign up. We can also sign up for our newsletter. That's a big thing. So if you sign up to be a volunteer, you'll get notified of volunteer opportunities. If you sign up for our newsletter, you'll just get a lovely message from me at least each month, letting you know what myself and what our agencies are doing. Or you can donate. And we have this really awesome new program called the Golden Heart Givers Club. So anybody that signs up, you can find it right on our website under Give, Golden Heart Givers. Anybody who signs up for at least $30 a month to give to us becomes a Golden Heart Giver. We can, and then we have a cute Golden Heart Givers t-shirt that you'll get so you can show off to your friends.
There you go.
But, just letting people know that you're supporting the Golden Heart and all the money stays right here, spread amongst our 15 agencies that need it. And those can change every year, every 2 years, depending on our cycle. And so we are always up to date on who needs money. Now, you might not see some bigger names on there, but it's because maybe those organizations have enough funding and have a lot of community support. So we really try to go after agencies that say, hey, I actually have a need for what you're doing, and I want to be part of this group.
So the website's got a lot of information. Yep. What are some initiatives? Are there other initiatives besides Golden Heart Giving, or is that kind of the big one right now?
That's the big one right now. We are planning for our annual event. Can we talk about that?
When's that?
That's January 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So our big event, our big kind of yearly, we don't have a gala, but we have a celebrity comedy roast.
Oh,
with Glenner and
yes, I
Jerry.
heard about this.
Yes.
I did one of these, isn't that?
I feel like you have.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
It was when Bill Walker.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that one. I was there.
All right, so who you after this time?
Lisa Sundborg.
Oh, okay.
And so if you know Lisa Sundborg, she is a phenomenal person in our community, very philanthropic. She's worked with BCDC as their a queen. So our theme this year is Queen of Hearts because she runs a poker tournament for BCDC. She's also been involved with Monroe fundraising and just really involved with our philanthropic community. And she is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And so we are so excited to honor her this year. And so
how do you come up with mean things to say about somebody like that?
You know.
Well,
it's not mean, it's roasting, so it's
roasting.
jokes. And
I
she also
understand.
owns a salsa and chip business.
Oh.
Salsa of the North.
Oh,
so there
okay.
will be chips and salsa at each table. You'll laugh, laugh, laugh. We've got Raleigh Johnson, if you guys are radio people, he'll be on the panel. I know Natalie. She is a radio DJ now, but also owner of the Botel, so she'll be there. I think she's going to be our DJ, and so she'll be there. And we got a few other pretty funny people lined up, and of course, Glenner's always hilarious. So
yeah.
that should be really.
So
fun.
That's the 23rd.
That's a January 23rd. So
all right.
if you're watching this,
Yeah.
get some tickets.
Mark it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Anything else? Just sort of generally that we haven't covered in terms of the mission, the purpose for the United Way being here?
I think we got, I just want to give a little shout out to the Fairbanks Wellness Coalition. That's a long-standing coalition. It's currently a grant that we manage, so it's a program that we support. And they focus on suicide prevention and drug misuse. But check out them if you haven't on Facebook, Fairbanks Wellness Coalition. They do a lot of what's called Create and Connect. And so that's a new initiative that they're pushing forward where it's monthly art meetups. Who doesn't like to do crafts?
Oh, wow.
And connecting with others through alcohol-free events. And so that's exciting on the horizon. It's kind of new for United Way, but we really just love them and fully support what they do.
And you engage with nonprofits that are not just your partner agencies,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and so we do have future plans of opening up a networking, networking. So it's not just our agencies, but a full networking of any nonprofits, because we're finding such success with our agencies that we want to figure out how, if we do it quarterly, we're going to be working with 4acre on that to help navigate getting our nonprofits in a room together, so we can talk and get to know what each other does.
Yeah. Well, I've seen, the years that we lived in Cordova, that was the first time I saw a gathering. They called it the providers down there, where the nonprofits would get together. And of course, that's a far smaller community than this one. Only about, depending on the time of year, 2,000 to 4,000 people. And so avoiding that overlap was very important down there. And to see them all work together and figure it out, and somebody would bring a need to the group and, okay, yeah, we can do that. And somebody else would be, oh, good, because I was afraid we were going to have to. So there's somebody to take care of it. I love that, seeing that kind of communication. Yep. So great that you guys are doing that. All right. It's time for the lightning round. Uh-oh. You ready for the lightning round? Since we're getting up against it here. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee. North Pole Coffee. Shout out.
Cats or dogs?
What?
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I have 3 dogs.
All right.
I'm very Alaskan.
Mountains or beach?
That's a really tough one, JR, because I go spend 2-3 weeks in Hawaii every January.
This is your moment. You can say both.
Yeah,
I
both.
can't decide.
Both.
It depends on the pizza or burgers.
Pizza.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you. Favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, Empire Records.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. It was my favorite movie growing up, and I think it just grew on me. And
it happens in the formative years.
Yeah, it's hard to, otherwise it's like, I don't know, Lilo and Stitch, because that's what I'm watching these days with my 3 and 7-year-old.
There you go. Over and over and over.
I mean, or K-pop Demon Hunters. That is on repeat in my house.
Weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Ooh, weirdest food. Huh. That's a tough one. Okay, this is weird. In England, they serve up warm beer. Everything is warm beer. And it was so weird.
Yeah.
But that's just how they drink it. So I don't know. That was pretty crazy. I went to Amsterdam, so I've tried some pretty crazy things, but nothing.
Yeah.
There's some crazy things to try. I won't go into that.
So I've heard. Before we wrap up, I want to show this video that you showed at Rotary the last time that I saw you speak there. And so set it up. How did that come about, and what makes it a special piece of work?
Our campaign video?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, every year we try to make a campaign video to highlight what is special about United Way, and I've done a lot of interview styles. But what's so special about this year is this is our 70th year. So United Way has been around since 1956. I got to watch every campaign video from the early 80s on, which was fun. And so you'll see lots of clips. I went through just about every news article that we've ever had written. United Way used to be the Fairbanks Federated Fund, and it had, probably 4 name changes in the next few years until it got to United Way. And so I was able to get a lot of those clippings and find, just how we came to be. And it's always been that the community wants to do something for its nonprofits that do this really what I call heart work. And so since the beginning, that was always what they did. And they all, from the beginning, we've gone in and worked with workplaces. And that's always been, before we were even United Way, that's been our thing. How do we connect the workforce and the people who kind of are making the money to show them the needs of the nonprofit and how they can support it? And so the special thing about this year is I was able to gather a lot of that. So all the footage you see, other than the newer stuff, is all from our prior campaign videos. Those are real newspaper clippings you'll see in there. And where we get to just kind of thank the community for the last 70 years and remind them that, we've got a lot of work to do and there's still more, but we can take this moment in time and just appreciate that it's been 70 years of amazing service. And so that really highlights that video.
Good. Well, I was very touched by it when we saw it there on the big screen. Thought it was a great piece of work and definitely wanted to include it. So I'm glad you guys own all the rights there. Right?
Oh yeah, United is the way. That is our
so
theme.
we'll show that here now, and thank you again for coming in, Sarah. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, JR. Always a pleasure. Community isn't just a word, it's a way of life here. For 70 years, the United Way of the Tanana Valley has been at the heart of our community, building a network of care and resilience that stands strong even in the coldest winters. Shoulder to shoulder, lifting up our community, we come from all walks of life, united by a tradition of helping each other, rooted in our shared values of resilience, independence, and compassion. We've transformed lives and made Alaska a better place for all by connecting people, responding to needs, and scaling efforts. It's the United Way. 70 years, united, growing together. You helped us carry the weight when times were hard. You brought hope when it was needed most. From the banks of the Chena River to communities across Alaska, we provide warmth in the cold, food on the table, education for the future, and safety for the vulnerable. But beyond that, we engage our community, energize our supporters, and elevate our nonprofits, helping our community grow together. This is who we are, and our journey is far from over. There is still so much to be done. We are committed to being there for those who need help now and those who might need help tomorrow. We pledge to continue working together, each doing our part to help our neighbors live their best possible lives. Together, we will make our home, our Alaska, stronger, healthier, and more caring. This is our promise. United is the way.
Nice video. That's as good as I remember it from when we saw it at Rotary. Nice piece of work there. Very informed and articulate, of course, guest, Sarah Hollister. Glad that we could have her on. I want to put the QR code up so you can see that for a sec. While we highlight these different local agencies, the 15 local agencies that are the focus of the United Way's efforts, in case you were wondering. The Alaska Health Fair, American Red Cross of Alaska, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Alaska, Breast Cancer Detection Center of Alaska, Fairbanks Children's Museum, Fairbanks Resource Agency, the Fairbanks Senior Center, Fairbanks Youth Advocates, that's the door, Interior AIDS Association, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Farthest North Council, Girl Scouts, Literacy Council of Alaska, Midnight Sun Council Scouting America, Presbyterian Hospitality House, and the Salvation Army of Fairbanks. All excellent local organizations that you can support, all of them, by supporting the United Way. And then they pass that on through, as you heard. So thank you again, United Way, and best wishes for success in the holiday season and beyond. Meanwhile, we are going to move on to our fab photo of the day. Fab photos, hello calendar, come over here. Fab photos like these can end up in the calendar that we put out each year. And incidentally, I understand there are still some calendars out there. The supply is usually kind of starting to dry up at this point, but go to webcenterfairbanks.com if you want to get one of these. And it's the fab photos that you send in to the website that could possibly end up in the calendar. Like this one, known as Beautiful Scenery, and it was sent to us by Bertha. Now, for those of you who can't, you might be listening on Spotify or using the listen-only option on the website, this is a little difficult for you. So I had a photo analysis piece of software look at this and come up with a description I could use for you. And it's a wide snow-covered field that stretches out under a deep blue twilight sky with a line of snow-laden evergreen trees in the distance. Soft, diffuse light glows through, learn how to read, dummy, glows through low clouds or fog near the horizon. And a few warm lights among the trees hint at distant buildings or vehicles, adding a quiet, serene mood. I could not have written that myself, so I'm glad I had help. Something, by the way, that Bertha doesn't know is I was at that same spot, kind of hiding out there under cover, and I mean, wow, huh? Isn't that's it? Yeah. Okay, fine. Thank you, Bertha. I apologize and bless the things and all the things, like the guy said. And you can send your photos to webcenterfairbanks.com to be part of the Fab Photos, part of this show, possibly part of the calendar, all the things. And now, as Mark Leonard said aboard the Romulan vessel before the Enterprise blew him up and he later would become Sarek, Spock's father, there's one more duty to perform.
It's time for the thing of the day, 'cause every day has things.
By the way, don't blame me. I don't write it. I just read it. National Short Person Day. Tall people may have some advantages in this world, but National Short Person Day is the time to appreciate those people who are a bit vertically challenged. The day is celebrated annually to remind people of a shorter stature that they are cared for and appreciated and can be proud of themselves no matter how tall they are. National Short Person Day might be the time to consider the advantages of shortness. More legroom on planes, never bumping your head on a particularly low beam or doorway, and always getting to be in the front row of those group pictures. Small stature, big personality. Short people are full of energy, creativity, and determination, always standing tall no matter their height. So take that, Randy Newman. Randy Newman. Short people got plenty of reasons. I mean, you compare their city to one of ours. I mean, they have so little traffic that their yellow stripe can just cover the whole Casaba. And thus we bring to a close show number 8, our final show before the Christmas long weekend. So we very much, on behalf of everybody here, KTVF, KXDF, all of us, wish you the very best for a joyous holiday season. So glad that you're choosing to tune in for this program. And remember, webcenterfairbanks.com is an asset for that. We have various versions of our mobile app for Apple and Android, Alaska's new source, Fairbanks. It's also available for that, the little boxes that plug into your TV, your Apple TV, Roku, so on. You want to email me, jrlewis@ktvf11.com. Always glad to hear from you. If you have any ideas or thoughts to share, whether it's something for us to share on this program or not, just email away. And until next time, when we visit Julie Swisher and the Red Cross, I want to say happy holidays to you once again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great week.